Hello there and a good evening to you. It is Petri here with you until 1 o'clock. Coming up at midnight, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump, the new President of the United States of America. At least he will be in January. So, what do you think he's going to do for us? Do you think we can still have that special relationship? Like I said earlier, I don't think it's really been special since Reagan and Thatcher. That's where it was invented. They absolutely adored each other. But given what the Labour government has been saying about Donald Trump, is it going to be an easy path to the support that we need from our American cousins? That's what we're going to be talking about. And why do you think people love Trump so much? Or is it that they just hated Kamala and Biden more? A bit like our own election here. Well, listen, Kamala Harris has now spoken. She has now given her speech. It really interesting to me that she didn't mention any future for her, any future pathway that she was staying to fight. She talked about fighting. She talked about a smooth transition of power. There was a big cheer from the audience. That's an incredibly important part of the sort of American democracy, is that smooth transition of power. And that's what everybody was worried about, that we wouldn't get if Donald Trump didn't win. So I want to know what went wrong for Kamala Harris. Does America have a woman problem? Donald Trump won against Hillary Clinton last time. So let's talk about it with Jana Sanchez. She's a strategic communications consultant and Democratic Congress candidate. Jana, good to speak to you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, OK, there's a lot to unpick here. Did Kamala lose, or did Joe Biden lose?
Well, I certainly think that Kamala ran a flawless campaign. Considering that she had 109 days, she raised $1 billion. She filled entire stadiums across the country with people who were very excited to be there. It was a big task. Donald Trump had 9 years to run for president. And he has a special ability to create division in a way that rallies his supporters. I mean, when it comes down to it, this race was about race and gender. And I think, I don't think that Kamala lost it herself. I think the circumstances were very poor. And I think that that it's very sad for America, the division that we have, and the impact that it's having on our politics and on our country.
The interesting thing, though, Jana, and you say that he's very good at picking out those people and creating division, but those people also voted for him in huge numbers. I mean, again, my sister sent me a message going, you know, this morning going, those poor women in America. And I said, yeah, but also if they'd got together and voted a different way, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because a lot of women
Absolutely.
voted for Donald Trump. A lot of
white women voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important distinction. You know, unfortunately, he has a way of dividing people by race and obviously by gender. And the majority of white women and the vast majority of white men, especially non-college educated white people, in other words, I think what you call in the UK working class people, support him. They feel heard by him. They feel that he speaks to them. But he also has put together a coalition of those people who are probably not horrible people, but with right-wing extremists, with evangelicals, with millionaires who want tax cuts and billionaires. So, I mean, I think he's just been actually quite clever about the way, or his people have been quite clever about the way he's put together this coalition.
So what about Kamala's messaging? That changed, right? We first of all saw her trying to go up against Trump, if you like, with not the same language, but certainly a little bit antagonistic. It then seemed that she completely turned that around and was talking about joy and happiness, but no real substance to that. Do you think that she fell down on that?
No, I disagree with that. I think she was substantive throughout. I think she had two messaging points. One was how horrendous Donald Trump is, a 34-count felon, an adjudicated rapist, a man who didn't leave office after he lost, and people died because of it. That was one part of her story. The other part of her story was an economic story about hope and prosperity. And then there was this undertone of joy and women, and women being powerful and having our own power. And I think that that obviously was irrelevant considering the coalition that Trump put together.
It does. Is America ready for a woman as president?
Clearly not.
I mean, look, the Labour Party aren't ready for a female leader here either. But we have had women prime ministers here.
Yes.
Some good, some not so good. But
yeah.
Do you think that it was a gender vote, that a lot of these people were going, oh, I don't want a woman doing that?
I think it was a combination of gender and race, going back to that. I mean, we have in our country a long history of bias towards African Americans, and especially African American women. I think most of us were hopeful that Kamala was the person of the moment who was going to help us get past that, who was going to challenge that. And I think what we saw is we fell back into our historical stance, which is of misogyny, of racism, and of division. And I think that is really a shame, because I fear, like most Democrats today, I fear for the future of our country and for our democracy.
I mean, it really was. I mean, it was a spectacle, an embarrassing spectacle to watch. To be frank with you, we would watch it, wide-eyed. How is a felon an adjudicated rapist, and how is that even a thing?
I know.
It really shocked. But listen, that's America for you, right? He had the right to stand as president and become president in an orange jumpsuit behind bars. That's your constitution. That's right. So yeah. It was always to us looking at that. But look, what next for Kamala? Like I said, her speech was I thought a brilliant speech. She conceded to Trump earlier on the day. She talked about a smooth transition of power, a very important statement in American democracy. But she didn't talk about what she was going to do next. Will we hear that over the next couple of days? Will there be somebody else bust in to take that role?
So, first of all, she is the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, in a sense. She's our figurehead. She's probably pretty exhausted, and she wanted to focus on her message, which was about unity and doing the right thing, and accepting the election outcome despite how Biden was treated in 2020. It was incredibly gracious.
It was classy.
I think she'll probably go on a nice vacation with her lovely husband and have some downtime, and then I don't know what she'll do. I mean, where do you go after losing the presidency? She'll probably continue to be an important voice, but I wouldn't blame her if she didn't want to run again, if she didn't want to be the candidate.
Well, we know what Trump did after losing the presidency. He came back for more. So maybe we'll see her doing it again. I'm sure that if America's not ready for a woman, they're not ready for a Buttigieg as well, either, as a gay man. So maybe he's not going to be on the ballot. I don't know. Listen, I thought she was very gracious. I thought that... I could see it in her face that she was very unhappy, and I saw people crying in the audience. It was an extraordinary...
Oh, there were a lot of tears.
A really difficult day for half of the country. Good to talk to you. I hope we get to talk again soon. I really do. That was great. Thank you very much indeed. That was Jana Sanchez there. And coming up, we're going to be talking to Rick Gates about how Trump won. So don't go anywhere.